Dune Part 2 is a resounding critical and commercial success. It has already surpassed the original film's box office and has cemented Dune as the cultural phenomenon it deserves to be. But this success does not come in a vacuum. Much like the Bene Gesserit planting seeds behind the scenes, it's important to understand the context of Dune's success. How this franchise went from one highly anticipated movie to the massive franchise it is today within the span of 3 years. Dune's marketing and franchise expansion is a textbook example of how to expand a franchise in the current age of content. Every single choice they've made, yes, even the popcorn bucket, and we will get to that, has been a genius move to keep people invested and involved with the Dune universe. Every piece of media has built upon the last to create the legend of Dune. A legend so vast, we are hungry for whatever comes next. But let's go back and start with the beginning. Dune Part 1, which wasn't called Dune Part 1 at the time, just Dune, the cinematic adaptation of the unadaptable book. The captain at the helm of this voyage was Denis Villeneuve, who had just come off the critically successful but commercial box office bomb Blade Runner 2049. After reviving Blade Runner, Denis drags Dune back into the cultural consciousness with good intentions. Alongside the announcement of Denis Villeneuve's Dune, we also get the announcement of a HBO show based on Dune's sisterhood, which has yet to come out, but I hope it will be good. The long-anticipated release of this TV show has been happening for the past 4 years. However, the fact that it has been announced to be partnered with HBO immediately cemented this Dune TV show with quality. Capital Q quality. Something that HBO's brand has been building for the past 25 years. Everything released within the Dune property has been created with this quality of mind first. The Dune TV show isn't the only thing to exist within the sphere. Both the movie and the show, and now everything that has released since, has tried to maintain that level of quality through every release. Nothing that the Dune franchise has released within the 4 years feels like a cash grab. Okay, well, maybe there's a couple things that feel like a cash grab, but for the most part, all of the new media that came out within Dune was of a very, very high quality. Dune Part 1 was not actually officially marketed as the beginning of this franchise until close to its initial release. I, like many others, was surprised at the start of the movie when it's a Dune Part 1, and I was like, oh, there's gonna be more of this, okay, cool. In 2020, Dune stood alone as a shining achievement of big-budget sci-fi, and even since then, nothing has really come close to its scale. The quality of this film isn't just due to Denis Villeneuve, but also the cast and crew who worked on it. Hans Zimmer specifically stopped working with Christopher Nolan purely for the sake of working on a Dune movie, and his score is incredible. Which, as a side note, Hans Zimmer, incredible composer, one of the greatest of all times, gets given Dune, a movie about a sand planet type thing, and makes the most stereotypical Middle Eastern quote-unquote type score with a woman screeching in the desert. I remember listening to the first time and being like, really, Hans? We couldn't have done anything else? However, Hans Zimmer takes that stereotype and makes it really good. Good job, Hans, whatever. It's a good score, I guess. But I guess that score is still an example of Dune's success. Regardless of anything else, what Dune did was took a story that some people know and many loved and transformed it into an incredibly high-quality experience. Dune's books have already led to supplemental storytelling, and it is ripe for more exploration. So everything that has come since the release of Dune 1 has kind of been coaxing off of its success. It uses both the success of the movie and the iconography of the film, and also all of the lore that's backed up within the Dune books to create new content. But unlike many other franchises today that saturated the market with more content, we were drip-fed Dune content like the scarce water on Arrakis. The content that was released expand multiple different mediums and allowed audiences to engage with as much or as little of it as they wanted to. A lot of this content was based very specifically on the iconography of Dune Part 1, using actors and promotional material that was used to market Dune Part 1. These actors are now canonized as these roles. In the same way that Nick Fury is now always drawn like Samuel L. Jackson in the comic books, a lot of what happened after Dune 1 is canonizing the look of these characters based on their appearances in Dune Part 1. All of this content helps feed off of each other and helps emphasize not only the movie's success, but Dune's franchise's success as a whole. But let's talk about some specific examples. Now, I guess the best way to market your film, especially to children, is to put a skin into Fortnite. And of course, Dune did this very quickly. Sure, having Paul Atreides achieve a victory royale sounds really dumb, but what it does is it keeps the Dune iconography within the minds of people. You can play Fortnite and not spend a cent and still die to Paul Atreides, and you can be there going, oh yeah, that movie exists. Just something as simple as that keeps reinforcing Dune as it exists within this world of massive, widespread content. It just keeps reminding you of its existence. Previously, once a movie came out, unless you specifically engaged with the material that came out of it, you probably wouldn't hear about that movie until the next major release. However, now, as franchises are expanding into different mediums, their persistence after a movie comes out is more apparent. Things exist within the cultural consciousness for longer now because studios, and I guess us as consumers as well, are more engaged with the content itself and continue to create content around it even after the movie comes out. Franchise engagement in the content that we consume is no longer something that we choose. You don't have to buy the Chani skin for you to get no-scoped by her. Another prime example of Dune's marketing and other franchise expansion is in its board games. Dune has a massively wide world and is based upon politics and strategy, and so it applies very well to games of all sorts. The Dune Imperium board game was a strategy-type resource-gathering game which used a lot of the iconography of Dune Part 1. A lot of the characters that exist in this game and the way in which they're portrayed on the board looks exactly the same as they portray in the original Dune movie. All of the actors that were in that movie are now also in the board game. What's interesting, though, is that this game released before the movie came out. The only thing we knew about Dune at that point was the cast and a few images and probably a trailer, and yet this board game still reinforced all of those ideas by creating its content specifically designed around the release of Dune Part 1. However, Dune Adventures in the Imperium, a tabletop role-playing game that released a couple of years after Dune Part 1, didn't use a lot of the iconography, but was based around you telling your own stories within the Dune universe. You can now expand your knowledge and association with the wider Dune world without waiting for the next movie. Both the Dune Imperium board game and the Adventures in the Imperium TTRPG received widespread critical acclaim and were considered very high-quality board games. Both of their designs have been praised, and they have both received expansions over the years. They haven't been a quick release to cash in on Dune's franchise and toss to the wayside. They have been consistently expanded and supported over the years. It is clear that these two specific tie-in properties also follow the same trajectory as Dune Part 1. Make high-quality content first that people will engage with no matter what, not to create a cash-grab franchise that is just trying to coax off of the success of a good film. The board game, the TTRPG, and the movie have cemented Dune as a capital Q quality franchise. So then what comes next? This quality design also then extended into video games. The first one we got was Dune Spice Wars, a 4X strategy game based around the planning and politics and combat found within the world of Dune. The entire basis of Dune's story is based upon these plans within plans and with plans, and also capturing a planet and utilizing that planet and making relationships with the people on that planet or the people against that planet to try and get your own gain in order to win. It works perfectly for a 4X game, and this game is great. Dune Awakening, a survival MMO, was also announced and yet to be released, but also focuses on the other aspect of Dune, the part that we also watched in the movie of Paul and his mother Jessica trying to survive in this desert planet. Dune Awakening will be an MMO where you get to step foot onto Arrakis itself, and you have to try and survive its harsh environment. Both of these games understand what makes Dune, Dune, and capitalize on them both in a very high-quality way. I can't speak for Dune Awakening's quality yet, obviously, it hasn't released, but I do hope that it follows the design of these other games and makes a very high, capital Q quality game. But both of these games took their time to release to their highest potential. Dune Spice Wars wasn't released quickly as a tie-in connection to the Dune game, but spent a year in early access, ironing out the bugs before it officially released. Time, dedication, and capital Q quality. These are the keys to Dune's franchise success. Plans within plans within plans. As we reach the release of Dune Part 2, a new wave of merchandise spiced up our life. These merchandise were not specifically content-based, but were definitely designed to raise the hype for the release of Dune Part 2. However, despite this, these releases are all still, I would argue, capital Q quality. And I can think of literally no better example than the Ornithopter Lego set. It could have been really easy for Lego to make a simple set based on Arrakis or one of the throne rooms or something with easy minifigs, instead of making a fully articulatable 2-scale Ornithopter that came with a Baron Harkonnen minifigure that's huge. Look at that guy. He's massive. The Ornithopter flaps its wings when you press a button. Come on, man. That's awesome. High quality Lego set. Is it expensive? Yes. Do I own one? Absolutely not. But the idea of it existing is very cool and definitely got me excited for Dune Part 2. This was then followed by Paul Atreides and Fade Rauthar being skins in Modern Warfare 2. And now look, I'm going to be entirely honest with you, this is nowhere near as cool as any of the other things. It definitely sits in the Fortnite skin realm of this definitely feels like a cash grab. The announcements of these two skins were then of course paired with a video of known Xbox controller model Timothée Chalamet and Elvis facing off with their respective skins. Not everything can be a slam dunk, and while it surely isn't capital Q quality, quality is subjective, I guess, and did it raise the hype for this movie? Probably. It connects back to what I was saying with the Fortnite video. You could be playing Modern Warfare 2 and not spend a cent and still get sniped by Paul Atreides and go, God damn it, now I have to go see that movie. And finally, we get to the holy grail of Dune's franchise marketing, the thing that took Dune off the map and expanded it so big that everyone couldn't stop talking about it, and that is, of course, the popcorn bucket. AMC Theaters announced in the lead up to Dune Part 2 that they would be releasing an official Dune-specific popcorn bucket that had the mouth of Shai Hulud, one of the sandworms that sits atop it. And the internet went absolutely crazy for it. Whether intentional or not, and who knows, actually, when it comes to Dune, this popcorn bucket went extremely viral and catapulted Dune's name all over social media in the lead up to the release of Dune Part 2. This incredibly sus popcorn bucket became a cultural icon in its own right and was anything anyone talked about when it came to Dune. And regardless of your opinion on the use of the bucket, it certainly is capital Q quality. I mean, look at it. It's awesome. It's really well designed. If I lived in America, I would absolutely buy one of these. And so Dune Part 2 released to a massive widespread critical success and commercial success, many people praising it as better than the original itself. And for most people who watched this movie, they had not engaged with any of the content that I spoke in this video at all. But the fact that it exists and was perhaps planting seeds in the minds of those who did engage with it kept Dune within the cultural consciousness for as long as it did. The lead up to Dune Part 2 was not just hype, because it certainly was, but supplemented by all of these other marketing and franchise materials and tie-in media that helped catapult Dune's success. Dune's franchise has cemented itself as capital Q quality, and it's not done yet. There's plenty more Dune to come. As I spoke in this video, we still have the Dune MMO and the HBO Dune Sisterhood show to look forward to. And for all the other franchises looking to create engaging content in this age of so much content, they must just look to the Messiah. The one that was able to cut through the noise and create capital Q quality content that always, in every sense, expanded the legend of Dune. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please literally like the video and subscribe. Wow, look, those two things lit up when I said that. If you don't believe me, go back and check. Comment what your favorite piece of Dune media is, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.